Welcome in, Celtics Late Night. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. The Celtics, Jake, 2-game losing streak now. Suddenly, out of nowhere, as the vibes couldn't have been higher. Suddenly, I would say they could be lower, but they're certainly on their way down. Celtics lose 112 to 105. A game where Jaylen Brown missed 7 free throws, missed 50% of his free throws, and we lost by that exact margin. Jake Eisenberg, how are you?
Ooh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, huge bummer. Sorry to kick it off with some bad vibes, but
no,
that's how it would be.
Shout out Detroit basketball in the chat. I will say, while this is a painful loss, for sure, like this was definitely a winnable game. Mm-hmm. They shot terribly from 3, couldn't make a free throw. Granted, the Pistons shot worse from them from the free throw line. Asar Thompson is a candidate to kind of do that, though, and Jaylen Brown's been shooting 78% from the free throw line, so it sucks to see it kind of go down that way. But I kind of feel like kind of good coming out of this game. Like, I think we're at the point where we think Jason Tatum's like definitely coming back and probably coming back late January / early February. We've played 3 games against the Pistons now. All 3 have come down to like the wire. And then if you add in Jason Tatum, to me, that flips the scales pretty like handily back in our direction. Because I really like the Pistons. And you could really feel them when you play against them. Like, Scout talked about the athleticism and the strength and the size. Like, Stewart and Duran and like Cade has just gotten so good. Like, he reminds me of Tatum in that just having this jumbo creator that like can get his shoulders into guys and get downhill. And it's like, man, I can't really block his step back 3. I can't really do anything once he gets into the lane to deal with him finishing because he's too quick for the big, like to put a big on him and too big to put some of the smaller guys on him and like so comfortable making all the passes and all the reads. He's just really tough to deal with. But that being said, a lot of the like outside of him, and Celtics fans are very familiar with like they were a Karis LeVert like 2 late threes in this game from being in big trouble. So fast forward to like if this game was to come up like in the second round and the series were to come up like in a 1-5 or a 1-4, I wouldn't say like we're resounding favorites or anything like that, but the Celtics can definitely win that series. And if Tatum's like come back and looked pretty good, I think it's very possible that they would be favored in that series. So I come out of this game and I'm like, man, we're right there with everybody in the East.
Yeah, the Pistons fans have to be kind of side-eyeing each other, being like, still number 1, baby, still got it right, but also like, fuck, I hope we don't see the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, especially if like you say, Jason Tatum comes back, because in this game, despite so many things going poorly, like I feel like we only had 12 turnovers in this game. I say only because it felt like there were so many more errors than that, and the Pistons got out in transition and scored effortlessly, I should say. I don't even think I said it correctly that time, but you know what I'm trying to say. Many times. The Celtics shot 10 of 39 from 3, good for 25.6%. We talked about the Jaylen free throws. The point being, also Walshy foul trouble, Hugo foul trouble. You talk about Cade. Like, I like Walshy on Cade. I think he is our best chance at mitigating what Cade does best if Walshy's out there. Unfortunately, great side note, great learning exercise for Jordan Walsh about like how to defend with more discipline and to use his dimensions and skill set with more discipline. But unfortunately, Walsh sat early. Hugo comes in, great initial pop defensively and energy-wise, and he has to sit down with some early fouls. But my point being is, despite so many things going wrong, this game was still super close down the stretch. And we had the Derek White fourth quarter, Garden's going crazy. Things were looking good. Jaylen Brown was like, came back in after sitting a little bit, and then Cade had sat with 5 fouls, and the recipe was there. The ingredients were laid out, on the kitchen bench, Jake, ready for us to cook a hell of a meal. Speaking of cooking a meal, by the way, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant here. Jaylen Brown was cooking enough beef stew in the first quarter to go around for everyone, feed the whole team and the staff. But it amounted to nothing other than a bit of biff later in the game. But yeah, Celtics really opportunity to win this one against the number one team in the East, despite shitting the bed in like multiple statistical categories.
Yeah, and I think it's twofold. Like Detroit's defense, like can make you feel like that. I think what are they ranked defensively? They're second in defensive rating according to Cleaning the Glass. Holy shit! The Thunder are so far ahead at number one.
Yeah, I
So
don't even look anymore.
at defense. Yeah, that's another conversation. But like, so the Detroit defense is going to force you into tough stuff, and like some of the Derek White shots. I mean, the fact that Derek White was able to end up 5 for 12 from three, it's another good indicator that he is back because man, he had to take some incredibly difficult shots, incredible difficult shots, and he made a couple of them. But yeah, it sucks that the free throws are gonna mar Jalen's game a little bit here, or a lot bit, because I thought he was superhuman again, and he like put on the cape again, and like in that fourth quarter, like in the entire game, but especially in the second half, he was just relentlessly attacking the rim. Hence why he got to the line 14 times. Like he was missing, like, and then like going back up for putbacks. He was just like they desperately needed his rim pressure. No one else could really create anything against this really good Detroit defense. And Jalen's just like head down, head down, head down. Duncan Robinson, attack, attack, attack. And he did as much as you pretty much could ask for. Like he had 34 points on 25 shots. Like still efficient enough. 8 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, 7 assists, like 3 blocks, a steal. The dude's playing some fucking incredible basketball. And to the Detroit fan in the chat here, he has to force on this team. That's what he has to do. And it's worked. And it worked again tonight. He makes, even if he makes 4 more free throws, right? Like there's no guarantee that they win this game. Like what's 11 divided by 14? Yeah, that gives you 78%, which is his like, regular season average this year. So you add 4 more points, like maybe you get it done. But I was still really impressed with Jalen's game, and just continue to be incredibly, incredibly proud of the performances that he continues stringing together.
Yeah, agreed. And the Celtics, they only finished with 16 assists, but like Jaylen Brown was like getting downhill, drawing multiple defenders. Like he was either like completely cooking Isaiah Stewart or on many occasions Duncan Robinson, or drawing an extra defender or 2 extra defenders, which is the ultimate advantage offensively, unless your name is like Victor Wembanyama and your advantage is just that you're an alien. Like to draw an extra defender, Jalen was spraying the ball out like quite well, fairly accurately, not always in the shooting pocket, but like wide open shots. And unfortunately, it goes back to that 10 for 39 3-point shooting stat. Like he was creating good looks for our guys, and they just weren't going down. If we shoot even a tick below, I think our team 3-point shooting average in this one, it's probably a completely different game. So awesome Jaylen Brown game. Great job creating advantages, getting into the teeth of the Pistons defense, and just doing like, I don't even want to say like a Jason Tatum impression. That's not fair. Just playing the role of like an all NBA level player, which is like make their defense think hard about what to do with you and have to adjust because of what you're doing to them, and then play off of that accordingly. Like it's just superstar level shit. It was fucking awesome at it, but unfortunately, not enough shooting talent on the night, I should say, to convert.
And we talked about this a little bit in the 10 Amazing Things episode, and the episodes kind of surrounding that episode is that like everyone has been so hot, and some guys that have maybe are not great shooters, or we don't know if they're great shooters yet. Like Josh Minott only had 2 3-point attempts. Both of them were tough. He's been making tough 3-point shots for like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, he forced though in this game. He did force both of those looks.
Yeah, but you kind of had to at points. And I think that goes back to the Detroit defense thing, is that guys just needed to make tougher shots, and they missed some of the tough ones, but then the good shots and the clean shots that they did get, they also missed those. And that was like the margin. You just needed to have a normal or an average-ish shooting night on the clean stuff, because you just weren't getting a lot of clean stuff. And that's part of it, right? You're like your overall sped up, and that kind of like Pritchard on that late 3-point shot from the top of the key, right? The air ball, that's like, if you would have showed me like the ball in the air where Pritchard was like ready to catch it, and you gave me odds on an air ball, I would imagine it would be like 5-1 minimum. Like that's like a money shot for him. even to at least get close on a shot like that. And he started hot early, and then he ends the game 2 for 8, 5 for 14. Like he struggled. Hauser, I don't know. We can kind of get into maybe a bigger Hauser conversation a bit later, but he left this game early with an ankle injury. But yeah, the wings were struggling here.
Yeah, wing depth just diminished in this one with the foul trouble from Hugo. I think we can put him in the wing category, and Hauser and Walshy, and then just not really getting much from Minot, who sort of is leaning more towards, I guess, like big man, at least as far as like the makeup of this team is concerned. But yeah, just not a lot from the wings in this one, unfortunately. It's just you've kind of touched on this organically, but just one of those games where you do kind of need at least someone to pop, other than Jaylen Brown, to have any sort of chance. And it looked like it was going to be Peyton Pritchard early on, who, you talked about the difficulty of the shots against the Pistons defense. Like Peyton Pritchard was just like cashing hotly contested, massively under duress threes early in this game. He faded a little bit, and then, yeah, there was just nothing. I thought Anthony Simons made, not that he's a wing, but he made some timely shots. I almost don't want to say this, but like
Anthony Simons?
Sort of a la Derek White, where
he almost, go ahead.
Like
sorry.
Towards the end of the third, I think early in the fourth as well, where it was like, fuck, if the Pistons score again and like we can't convert on the other end, like this game is cooked. And then Anthony Simons like made 2 buckets in 2 distinct junctures of that nature, which I thought was good and a little bit, I don't know, different from the usual, I don't know, output that we see from Anthony Simons. So that was cool. Ultimately not enough, but yeah, you just needed a little something from somebody else, and we just didn't get it consistently from anyone other than JB, which might be the story as the regular season plays out. Who knows? Yeah,
I think like this team is better than I thought they were going to be, but the games that they lose are going to be most typically, Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma, Magna Ball aside, probably going to be to some of the better teams where you just feel like, man, we're going to have to squeeze this one out. And it's just a very different experience in the last 4 seasons, and especially the last 2, where it's like we can't just expect to be up between 9 and 20 points against anybody that's not OKC and Denver for the most part. And without Tatum, it's just going to be hard to create consistent offense in the half court against a defense like this. So like today, looking at cleaning the glass, 92.2 points per possession in the half court, 36th percentile. Like that's tough.
Yeah, what do you think of the zone defense in this one, and the Celtics' decision to go to it? I didn't think it was that effective, but I do think you need to like switch it up a little bit and throw different defensive looks at your opponent. It's kind of like, I don't know, foundational level coaching in the NBA or at any level really, especially if you're unable to stop on multiple possessions. You typically throw a few different looks at different teams, especially one as good as the Pistons.
Yeah, I don't think that going to zone is necessarily an admission of anything really. Like the Miami Heat have lived off playing zone for the entire Jimmy Butler era in a way that they just executed it really well and made teams really uncomfortable with it. And that was just successful. They could play traditional coverage against everybody as well. They were just a really good overall defense. So I didn't mind going to it. I agree that it didn't work schematically or tactically. Something that I would have now, upon reflection, tried is one of the other big men, specifically Amari Williams, or because the rebounding was a huge problem. Mm-hmm. And it was in the first Detroit Pistons game, and it was again in this game as well. 12-7 offensive rebounds, which it felt worse than that at times. I was going to say Isaiah Stewart had 5 of those. He was a monster, and he was the one that was eating in those small lineups. Like there was that possession where Josh Minot kind of had his hand on the ball as well, and Beef Stew just ripped his shoulder out of his socket.
Dominant.
And I was like, wow, I'm so glad that's not me trying to rip that ball away from Isaiah Stewart, because I would be dead.
I'm glad I'm not in the country when that shit's going on. It's insane. But yeah, the rebounding disparity on paper isn't that glaring, but 16-8 advantage Pistons in second chance points.
Yep.
Like they
Huge.
a small amount of additional rebounds, but they capitalize like every single
Mm.
fucking time, which was problematic to say the least.
Yeah, like the Celtics and Missoula are mitigating the defensive rebounding issues by creating their own offensive rebounds. So they're like this, but like there's just going to be nights where you come out against a team like the Pistons, and again, all three of these games have been very close. So this is not to say that like you can't beat a team like this. The Houston Rockets, on the other hand, like especially if Jason Tatum isn't playing, that's a team that you probably just can't beat in a series.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, that's too much. That's just too much offensive rebounding firepower. And I'm gonna try and pull up the offense, like the Pistons. I know they're high on the season, but I'm just curious how far they are ahead of the pack. I know that Houston, yeah, they're second in the NBA, but similar to overall defensive rating and how the Thunder are like leaps and bounds ahead of second. The Houston Rockets are first at a 41.5% offensive rebounding rate, which is absurd. Pistons are seconds at 35.8, but then Blazers are at third, 35. So it kind of like is bunched, in the 2 through.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics have an offensive rebounding rate at 33.3 at 7th overall. So like 2 through 7 is quite close. So the Pistons, a team like that's really the only team that I think that from that perspective just would own them, and that margin's pretty much insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the chat. I appreciate how much you love the Pistons.
Yeah, I'm for it.
like,
Whatever.
yeah.
Hang out. Talk your shit.
Yeah. He's saying
it's
in
a
here
low
the
stakes
Pistons.
season for us, so we kind of don't care. Is that fair to say, Jake?
Oh, we care probably a little bit more now than we did 2 weeks ago. But like his comment about the Pistons beating the Rockets and how like that doesn't apply necessarily to what I'm talking about, because the Celtics' weakness is defensive rebounding, whereas the Pistons are not. That's not like an Achilles heel for them. It's just kind of like a different conversation. But I would have tried to go to a big man. And I know Amari Williams played in the G League with this hairline fracture. And it's kind of frustrating because Amari Williams was like very helpful actually in the minutes he played in the second game against the Pistons. And the small lineups, where was Josh Minot today? Plus minus wise, he was a minus 11 team worst. Oh, not team worst. Derek White. See, I can't use single game plus minus. The Josh Minot number feels accurate. Whereas Anthony Simons somehow got away with a +8 today.
What?
But that's the one tactical change. If I could go back in hindsight, and I would try Amari Williams, or it's kind of really Amari Williams.
Just not Gaza.
No, definitely not Gaza. But so like Tillman, it's so weird.
I know Scal was like calling, might have been Scal or Drew, were like, get Tillman out there. Why the fuck not? Like, it's not working with Minot. Like, Nemi's been good and productive in his minutes, but like he can't like carry that load solely. Like, we need backup size and really limited choices. Amari's got the hand thing. I don't know. Like, I know he played in the G League, but Tillman has the experience, and he's a bigger dude. I just think, if you're going to go back and do it again, maybe it's Amari, but maybe it's Tillman as well, but maybe not Minot.
I love the small lineup. I love the way that it's been playing, and I love the way that it's given the Celtics a way to counteract their weakness with defensive rebounding by adding the speed and athleticism and juicing the offense in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But against a team like the Pistons that are really good on the offensive boards, maybe that's a learning. We'll see. Like the next time we play a team that's, higher up on the offensive rebounding statistic, does Missoula try to go to Tillman? Because it is odd. The one game against the Cavs where Tillman played like 30 minutes when Cater was out, and we basically haven't seen him in any real minutes since then. And he was like very solid, and the Celtics won that game. But I guess the small lineup's just been that effective that I can understand. Also, not going back to it when you have Cater available. So maybe in the second half, after you got bludgeoned a little bit, maybe it would have made sense to try Tillman or Amari.
Yeah, I guess the argument is like you just want the firepower out there, and like in the case of Josh Minot, like the supposed like 3-point firepower as well, which just didn't come tonight. But yeah, he looked like he could have been blown away in a breeze against like some of the Pistons bigs out there tonight, Josh Minot. So yeah, hindsight's 2020. It'll be interesting to see like what some of the post game comments are coming out of this one. But you know who's really good at defensive rebounding, Jake? Jason Tatum. So we'll keep holding out hope for that return. Some quotes are coming out after the game. Jaylen Brown quote, "I think my team did enough. I've just got to be better down the stretch." The usual superstar stuff. Not throwing his teammates under the bus. Not that he should, but if he was being honest, you might say, "I wish they'd hit down a few more of those looks I created for them."
He's like, "Fuck, Pritchard, you to airball that three, bro. What are we doing, man?
Yeah,
busting my ass."
Jaylen Brown on Isaiah Stewart quote, "We were just having fun. I think he's a nice guy." That's very sweet.
It was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was like just a good old fashioned like two teams that play fucking hard, and like Stewart he plays on that line of dirty recklessness. I don't think that he did anything dirty at all tonight, and I don't think he's like a dirty player, but he plays on that. He was just sucked to play against. Just one of those people with elbows and shoulders and deltoids and so much power flying around, but like him and Jaylen getting into it, it was nothing like over the top. I thought that I was kind of speeding through. I'm assuming they gave them like double ticks because when the next time they got tangled up, both of them just like sheepishly like back down because they were like, we both have techs.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the Pistons. Shout out to Cade, who was just awesome and so surgical. But it's a little nugget seed there, like their massive dependency on their best player. Like we've seen it with previous Celtics teams and Thunder and like really like championship quality teams. They have that 1A or the 1B, whatever you want to call it, that sort of backup creation specialist. Typically, that's Jaylen Brown, sometimes Derek White for us. And outside of a small glimpse of, I think you touched on this earlier. Who was it again? It was Javonte Green and a Celtics killer in Karis LeVert with that quick 5-0 run when Cade went to the bench with his fifth foul. Like I was about to celebrate the the flow on effects of the Cade dependency by saying, okay, watch this, we're going to go on a run here, but instead they got a little bit lucky there. So if I were the Pistons, I'd be maybe a little worried about how close the Celtics kept this game despite the many deficiencies across the board, production-wise, offensively, offensive rebounds, etc. I wouldn't be like sewing the championship banner or even the conference championship banner
God, no.
just yet.
God, they haven't won a playoff series yet.
Yeah. But, they're having a moment. You got to let them
of course. But, like, look at the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, sure.
They've had an incredible regular season run over the past 2, 3, 4 years since Donovan Mitchell arrived, and they have 2 first-round playoff series to show for it. Yeah. The Pistons haven't won any playoff series yet. And, like, it's clearly a resounding success when it comes to this rebuild. Like, Cade is MVP, top 5, first-team All-NBA guy right now for this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, easy.
That's start there. But then like, if the goal is to win a championship, that's when I start to be kind of, I'm not sure I see it on the roster right now for the Pistons. But when you're a team that just broke the record for most consecutive losses in a season, and you're what are they now? 20-5, like 20, something like that. Like they're on pace to have 21-5. They're on pace to have like a 60+ win season. Mm-hmm. Like there's no reason to be anything other than ecstatic if you're a Pistons fan when half your team is incredibly young. You own all your draft picks. No one's on like terrible deals. I think they need to acquire or someone needs to blossom into a legitimate number 2 guy, or like the overall talent on the team needs to raise for them to get into winning a title conversation. But 21-5 is 21-5. I don't really care how you got there. And so East is the East, but and it's the Pistons, right? Like I'd much prefer them to be like of all the teams that have just like jumped up and been the 21-5 team. Glad it's not the Knicks. Glad it's not the Cavs. Glad it's not the Sixers. I kind of hate the Magic now after the first round series last year.
Yeah.
Like when we had Pistons Jack on in the offseason, like I was like, I might have to go back and be like, can Cade come in and be the best player in the East after Giannis? Well, it's like, that has been a yes so far. And all of a sudden they're Yeah. They've taken everything. Like when Pistons Jack came on, he was like, can we get mid to high 40s, low 50s, and then maybe win a playoff series? Now they're like 1C with a bullet. So
Yeah. Well,
great
speaking of
season for them.
seeding, we have slid down to the 4 seed, and we're now one game in the loss column away from sliding down to the 7 seed into the play-in. But the reprieve around the corner for the Celtics is that there's a bit of an easing up of the schedule difficulty. So we've got Heat, Raptors, who, are our 3 seed rival, I guess you could say, but I don't feel. Just like kind of what you're saying about the Pistons, like their existence is like non-threatening and not offensive in any way. It's like good for them. I kind of feel the same way about the Raptors, and therefore they don't really put the fear in my heart at all. So Heat, Raptors, Pacers, Blazers, Jazz, Kings, Clippers, Bulls. Like it's kind of smooth
Very
sailing
nice.
for a little while. So hopefully some nice little reset, like vibes reset for the Celtics, maybe a developmental reset, like we start to see some nice Minot games again. And I guess maybe that segues to the Hauser situation. Like if he's even going to play, given the sprained ankle, it did look like a very mild sprain. Like maybe if it's a playoff game, you see him back out there in the second half. But I know you wanted to have the Hauser conversation, and maybe we can have that to close things out because we've got to do a shorter show tonight. But what's on your mind, Sam Hauser wise?
Oh, he just had a very rough stretch and kind of zoomed out. It's just not been a good season for him, I think, at this point. Like, and I've been one of Hauser's biggest fans and defenders on the internet, in the world. And he's really struggled. The 2-point, like Samelo stuff, he has really struggled from inside the arc this year. I think I saw a number, he's like sub 40% from inside the arc this season. The 3-point shot I'm not worried about the 3-point shot. Like he's 34% on the season. Like it would take like a 2-week hot streak to probably, to get him back to 40%. He's 36% on two pointers. That's a fucking disaster.
Yeah, it feels a little. This is a very ungenerous thing to say as a 40-year-old desk jockey, but it feels like weak as piss when he takes it, when he puts the ball on the floor and like tries to get inside. When the defense allows it, he never forces it because it's not his game, and therefore the looks available to him in those situations, maybe they look a little easier, I suppose, than they might for others. And so it's a little surprising relative to other seasons where we have seen him be like an additional like counterpunch to his normal game, if you will. He just hasn't been able to throw that counterpunch this year. It's a little glaring because like 28 years old, sort of should be like, very much smack bang in the middle of his prime. And it's an opportunity for all the guys on the team this year. Sam Hauser, where he sat in the hierarchy, at least at the beginning of the year, was such that you would expect him to get more looks and get more of a green light from the coaching staff. And just hasn't amounted to anything. In fact, it's a huge regression from the mean, unfortunately. So not sure what's going on there. Last year, we had a lot of clarity around like the injuries and that kind of thing. And, just coming off the back of a very, very deep playoff run or multiple deep playoff runs. This year, it's unclear other than is he maybe like the biggest Tatum beneficiary of all the guys on the team. And that's maybe the huge difference between last year and this year.
He is definitely one of the big beneficiaries of playing with Tatum. Yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers last year. Like even with the injury stuff, he ended up playing 71 games. He was 41.6% from 3. He was 64% from 2-point range. That's compared to 36 this year. Like that is, we know I'm not a scientist, but that's almost half. That's such a massive, massive, massive regression. And I don't know, it could just be a bad stretch. He hurt his ankle. I wonder if it's like the same ankle he hurt in the Knicks series. Like, sometimes you can just all of a sudden you just have a bad ankle now. And it's like it can recover, but anytime you sprain that specific ankle, it's just significantly worse than if you were to sprain your good ankle. Like my left ankle can handle anything. A strong breeze can hurt my right ankle. And that's just maybe that's where his right ankle or whatever. I'm speculating because I'm grasping at straws. I want Sam Hauser to be good because I'm a big believer. But there's definitely been people talking about, does it make sense to trade Sam Hauser? Steven in the Discord hates Sam Hauser, wants to get him traded to anywhere. And because like you have all these wings now, if you're able to find a big man by packaging him with whoever or whatever, does he feel more expendable now? Is his value now a lot lower though than it was in the offseason? Probably.
Well, yeah, and then therefore there's probably more value in keeping him. I think the biggest detriment to Sam Hauser's longevity in Boston, other than this sort of minor stretch, is that he just has one of the more tradable like salary chunks, across the roster thus far. So he's more likely than not to find himself in some sort of outgoing package just to make salaries work. But we've had this conversation about Hauser a few times, and he's always found his way out of it. And at his best, he's this elite 3-and-D guy who has proven himself to be playoff worthy, and can defend, obviously not like the Tyrese Maxeys of the world, but like a large spectrum of players from like 2 guard to 4 and sort of everything in between, and just be absolute fucking cash from 3, and maybe just not getting the lack of attention that he's had, defensively in prior years to really benefit from that. But I feel a tendency. I always like err on the side of like being conservative with this sort of stuff because like I like our guys. I don't want to keep him. But at his best, he's just like exhilarating and puts so much pressure on the defense in terms of our spacing and things like that. So he might be traded, but if I had to bet whether or not he's going to climb out of this slump, I would say like he always has and he will again.
Absolutely. And I always just go back to how good he was in the NBA Finals. He was just fucking great in the NBA Finals. My only last thing to say, so we can leave, is that Anthony Simons, again, 25 minutes, 0 rebounds.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Back-to-back games of 25 minutes and 0 rebounds.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. We're getting killed on the fucking boards. Fucking grab a rebound.
Do you feel like he's being deployed more strictly by Joe? Like he is being sort of sent out there with a more like thinly scoped assignment of like, okay, it's a very specific situation. Like it's like offense,
rebounds.
Defense, or yeah.
Maybe it's a secret strategy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Do you expect like if the lack of rebounding continues, do you expect to see like gradually less and less? Do you trust Joe to react accordingly and be like, mate, if you're not going to grab some fucking boards, sit the fuck down and don't come back in the game. Like you need to earn that privilege. It's not a right.
Well, they desperately need the theoretical version of Anthony Simons. Like they desperately need someone that can score points. Score points. That's the whole point of this. Only thing he's supposed to be able to do. And he can't do it really. Like 3 for 9 today, 0 for 5 from 3. He got to the free throw line. Great. I was with you though. I was like, this guy sucks ass again. And he had that floater he dribbles hard left. He dribbles soft left or right. And he takes these incredibly difficult, like running, fading floaters.
Time. Yes.
Because he can't get by anybody most of the time. And some of them go in because he's got crazy touch. But like, and then he made one and then he missed one that kind of like basically went in and came out. And in my brain, I went through the like, oh my God, Anthony Simons is actually going to do the thing that we need, to like, this guy sucks in about 0.2 seconds when I thought the ball was in versus when the ball went out.
Yeah.
He
takes the crazy most difficult shots. They go in for some reason.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It feels like, I don't know, more often than not. I know that statistically this is just infactual.
Correct.
But they feel like they go in a lot for some reason. But the lack of easy shots that he gets is glaring and alarming, and just like, I obviously want him to succeed, but it's like, there's clearly no long-term place for you here. So I think that narrative like has not changed at all, and he's done absolutely nothing to sort of shift our mindset there. Hate to end on a bad note like that. I do have to go. Jaylen Brown, fucking awesome. So good. He is going to thrive in the sort of post Jason Tatum was injured world that we will find ourselves in very soon. You got one more thing to wrap up here, Jake?
I was going to say, shout out Daisy for who was my Secret Santa. I'm pointing to her present, which is on the bookcase now. The basketball that has been turned into a plant. Incredible.
Very sick. That's awesome.
Literally a one of one. Let's just say a fern. I couldn't have any less idea about what actually plant it is. But it's real. It's a real plant.
Looks good, and a mainstay in the Jake's First to the Floor podcast backdrop there. So love to see it. All right, we're going to leave it there. Like we said, smoother sailing for the Celtics coming up. We're going to be back, Jake and Spoonie are, at least in a couple days' time for the big pod. Probably some reactions to the NBA Cup from tomorrow, and then a look ahead at the Celtics' upcoming schedule. So thanks for tuning in. Hope this soothed your woes after the Celtics' second loss in a row. Jake Heisenberg, love your work, man. Until next time.